Hi, David Sass here. Welcome to another one of our radio portraits. This once again is going to deal with a micro business. By that I don't mean a small business, because having checked this out and having spoken to the owner as well, it's definitely not a small business, but it's a micro business in terms of the fact it's family run and basically run by Neil Smith on his own with occasional help from his two sons. And it's small in terms of a very small shop front in Newent in Gloucestershire. So before I went out to actually look at the shop and to interview Neil, I had a look at the website. Goodness me, what a lot of things on the website. Many products, not just new and used cameras, but also Skywatcher astronomical telescopes, lots of accessories, Helios binoculars, and all the major makes: Sony, Leica, Hasselblad, Contax, Bronica, Mamiya. I could go on and on and on. So quite fascinated I was before I went into the shop, and lo and behold, as you get in there, the website is nothing compared to the full range of products on display, stacked on shelves virtually to the ceiling. Interesting, isn't it? So let's hear a little bit more about Neil before we go on. Neil Smith, he's been in the photographic trade since 1996 and got his experience becoming a key member of staff in both Francis Photographic and Carmarthen Camera Centre, obviously in South Wales. He worked at both places for a total of 16 years, selling new and second-hand cameras, lenses and accessories. So he's got quite a lot of experience. He has moved to Newent, and later on I'm going to actually ask him why. Why photographic shop, Neil?
Needed work.
All right, yeah. This is often a good reason, actually.
Yeah, and it just turned out that that's what I started doing, really.
Yeah, quite often you find that people who start their own business do it not for valiant reasons, it's because you need to.
Yeah, well, I think if I'd have started this as a hobby, the actual business, and if it had been my hobby before, I would have wanted to keep most of the stock. So yeah. I think it's a good thing to keep your hobbies as hobbies and your work as work, really.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So you came to Newent. Why Newent? A long way from Carmarthen.
The wife's family are from Gloucester.
Ah, okay.
So she wanted to move further back to home, and we saw the prices of Gloucester to be quite high. So we thought we'd pick somewhere on the map, close your eyes and stick a pencil on the area, and that's sort of the area that we hit, really, was the Forest of Dean. Newent being the most cost effective.
What did you think when you first came into Newent? I know I had particular views, as I lived in Cheltenham for 25 years, so it is different.
I thought it was a nice, quiet town, but it was the way the landscape looked. It was quite an attractive town, so that helped as well, really.
Yeah, I found it was a working town, that when you actually got here, things were really actually happening.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it was not. I mean, I turned up just before the summer, so it was the right weather as well, and it was obviously the Newent and Bloom thing was maybe up, so it just looked attractive, really. So you like the area, but is it the same sort of clientele as you had in your camera shop experience in Wales? Not really, but I think it's what I'm doing is purely second hand, so I've got people travelling from further afield to Newent, and they're coming into the shop, they've seen me on the website, and they'll give me a call, make an appointment to see me, so they'll just come down and have a look then. Yeah, I've had a look at the website. How do they know the website exists? Do you actively promote it? I do a little bit on Facebook and a little bit on Twitter, but I do use sort of keywords like used cameras, Gloucester, so anybody that keys that into Google, I'll come up on the first page. So I think that's maybe what they'll put in, where they'll put vintage cameras, used cameras, or second hand. It comes somewhere up the first page. Yeah. So that works, really, I think. So in fact, your stock is quite different from, say, what Jessop's used to be. Exactly. They have to be new. Yeah. And you're specialising in used. So if you've got something there's used and a bit unusual, if somebody types into Google, chances are it's going to come up somewhere near the top because nobody else is stocking it. So that's a conscious choice by you. Yeah, definitely. So most impressed by the amount of stock on the website, and now that I've actually walked in the shop, it's to the ceiling. Apart from the website, do you eBay stuff? Yeah, try to, or try not to, I should say. There's plenty of things on eBay. I've got like over 500 things on eBay. Wow. But there's obviously they take a big chunk of whatever small profit you're making. They take a chunk of it. And I'd rather do it from a website, give people better prices if they come direct to the website, and if they come into the shop, I'll give them an even better price. Yeah. I think the thing of where these big companies are saying they'll do it cheaper on their website than when you go into the actual store is absolutely ridiculous, because you want people to if people are making the effort to come to see you, you should be doing it at a better price in the shop.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
It's the reverse way around, I think, of what it should be.
Yeah, I came across that before, and as I keep harping back to Jessop's, or even buying cameras.
Yeah, it's cheaper on their website than it is in store, which
doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. No.
I suppose it's less admin, but it isn't, is it? Because you've got all the postage.
Yeah, well, they say, oh, well, they haven't got the overheads. Well, they have, because the overheads are actually in the rent and things of the shop anyway. So surely they want some of that back.
Most of that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I would think so, but they don't look at it that way.
Absolutely. So you've come to Newent. You've decided to be a different type of camera shop to the major retailers.
Yeah.
In other words, it's used stock, and some of it looks pretty good. Why such a small shop? Silly question, maybe. But...
No, it's not. I think it's. It looks quite quirky if it's small. It's easier to fill, if that makes any sense. When I first opened, I didn't have much stock, so you thought the smaller the premises, the better it would be, but not too small. And I think it's something like 14 foot by 9 foot in size at the front. So it's not massive, but at the same time, I didn't think I was going to fill it as quickly as I did.
No.
So that was the downside of it as well. But if I had chance, I'd double.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your point about being quirky probably goes with the town.
I think the town needs more quirky shops, really, to be honest, because you don't want to rely too much on because there's not enough people in the town. You want to really drag people from other areas. So if there was more quirky shops, things like craft shops or whatever, I think it might drag people in from elsewhere.
Yeah, I think you're dead right about the quirkiness of the shop. It's a real Aladdin's cave, I'd say.
I try to be. That's why I try to do it. You know, anything from like a couple of pounds upwards to a couple of £1,000. You've got to sort of acquire to everybody's taste, really, and everybody's pocket.
Yeah. So what would you say is your best-selling type of product?
When I get them in, the usual sort of classic cameras like Leicas and Hasselblads and things, they seem to come in and go out quite quickly. Things like older Canon sort of manual focusing cameras like AE1s and AE1 programs and all that sort of stuff.
So let's talk about the future. So you've talked about maybe a bigger shop.
I wouldn't want to move town. I'd want to stick to where I am, but if I could expand it a little bit, it would be good.
So if somebody was going to come into their own business,
yeah,
let's sort of forget for a minute it's a specialist business.
Yeah.
Would you recommend running your own business?
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way now. I wouldn't want to work for anybody else.